The Weija Dam was built in 1978, and like every dam, when it's being constructed, there's room is made for excess water to be spilled off. So some dams are built such that when it gets to a maximum operating level, the excess water will spill over the dam. Some dams are also such that they have spill gates. So when we get to that level, maximum operating level, we open the spill gates and then the excess water will go. And the Weija Dam is constructed with that design that has 5 spill gates, so that anytime, and the maximum operating level is 47 feet. So beyond 47 feet, we open the spill gates so we release the excess water. Now, if we do not do that, we are going to. It means that we will be compromising on the safety of the dam or the integrity of the dam, such that if we go beyond a certain level and the dam is unable to carry the weight of the water will push off the dam and it will break to crack and break through. If it so happens, it will wipe off that entire area that you see beyond the dam right into the sea. So it's important that one, we save properties and lives. So we have to spill the excess water for the water to go through its natural course into the sea. Now the other aspect is the dam serves as a reservoir that stores raw water for the Ghana Water Company Limited to abstract 60 million gallons of water on a daily basis for treatment for the western part of Accra. If the dam is to collapse, it means that we wouldn't be able to abstract water for treatment, which means that the greater percentage of Accra, or the population of Accra, will be without water for a very long time, because the dam has to collapse now. It means you now have to go and look for funding to enable us redo the construction. Now, the construction of a dam takes 3 to 4 years. Okay, so looking for funds and then the construction period will mean that half the population of Accra, or a greater percentage of Accra, will be without water for about 4 to 5 years. I don't think we want to experience this. So it's important that we save the dam, save the integrity of the dam by opening the spill gates when there's excess water. If you look at what happened this year, 2020, that was on Monday, in May, we had the dam rise from 37 feet on Saturday to 47.9 feet Sunday morning, which means that within 2 days or within a night, the dam level has risen over 10 feet. So you can imagine the volumes of water that just came in one night after some rains upstream. So we're forced to spill on Monday, but because we haven't done enough sensitization, we still had to hold on, okay, which was very dangerous for the dam, to do the sensitization, and then we started with minimal spillage of 2 gates. Okay, it isn't every time that we can take our time to do that. So it means that anything at all can happen at any time. The area is also an earthquake zone. So it's important that we also be mindful of that one, and to know that there can be an earthquake at any time which could affect the dam, and which means that if it does not happen at a time where we can escape, for instance, if it's to happen late night when we are asleep, then we'll be there and the water will just wipe everybody off. So it's important that some precautionary measures are taken, especially the opening of the spill gates for excess water to run off into the sea. Okay. Now, all the structures that you see on the course of the river from the dam to the sea or the estuary, I would just want us to ask a few questions. Now, were those structures built before God created the river, or the river had been there before they built their structures? Okay, now it is for all of us to answer, which means that, or let me just answer that the river had been there before all those structures, which means that they knew the repercussions of putting up structures in that area, and they went ahead to do it. We also have to find out whether they have building permits before putting up a structure, because there's a policy in Ghana where before you put up any structure, you need to have a building permit from either the municipal assembly, the metropolitan assembly, or the district assembly. We need to find out if all those structures in that area have building permits before they were put up. Okay, and then I can vouch that there's no way, or I can vouch that 99% of those structures that do not have building permits. And if they do, they will have to find out who signed the building permit and hold the person responsible. But I doubt. Okay, so it's important that we do things right in this country, and it's very, very important that all stakeholders get involved so that we do things right. Now, for us in Ghana Water Company Limited, we try to add some human face to it anytime we are spilling. But for how long can we do that? Because we spend a lot of money in sensitizing them before we start spillage. Okay, so for instance, we are always in collaboration with NADMO, the District Assembly, National Security, and all that. Okay, so if we add some human face like that to it, the disaster is minimal. But then again, we go back to the point that I made initially, that if there is an earthquake late in the night or anything at all should happen to the dam, for the dam to crack or to collapse, would there be time for us to go sensitizing the people? No. So anything at all can happen. So it's important that those living in the area will know the repercussions of their actions or their continuous living there, such that anything at all could happen. The best would be for them to evacuate. They don't have to wait for anything, but they should, if they value their lives, then they have to evacuate, and they don't have to wait, or they don't have to assume that in the dry season this is good and in the wet season is the only time that they face those challenges. In the dry season, we could experience other disasters, because disasters happen at any time without informing anybody. Okay, so it's very, very important that we take some of these things into consideration, consider them seriously when we are putting up such structures, and especially those living there must know that it's not the best. There's also a policy, a buffer zone policy, where no structures are supposed to be built within a certain radius of every riverbank. The structures that you are talking about are all within the buffer zone. So are they respecting the laws of the country by putting up those structures there? Others have built even in the waterway, even in the course of the river. Are they justified by doing that? Do they have a building permit? Did they value their lives before putting up structures in the course of the river? All these questions must be answered. For us as Ghana Water Company Limited, our duty ends at the dam. Beyond the dam, there should be a natural river course where the water should flow through that course into the sea. So if people put up structures there, I don't think the Ghana Water Company Limited has to be responsible. Not at all. But be that is may, because we are dealing with human beings, we try to add some human face to it and inform them that this is what is going to happen. But beyond that, there's no responsibility. Beyond that, it is the mandate of the municipal assembly, and they must make sure that we have people put up structures at authorized places. And if we have structures at unauthorized places, then you make sure you demolish it. On Monday, 12 o'clock, we started spilling. So when we have more inflows and the water level is going beyond the maximum operating level, we'll spill. There are certain times in the year where we spilled like 3 or 4 months, okay? And there are certain times where we spilled over 8 months, depending on the inflows. You understand? So average or usually we spill between 8 and 9 months of the year, and depending on the levels, we'll increase it we'll open by 1 gate or 2 gates, 3 gates, 4 gates, or 5 gates. If there's more water, we open all gates. If the water is not that much, we open few gates. We have to allow the level of the water to be within the safe operating levels of the dam. And as a responsible institution, as a responsible company like Ghana Water Company Limited, that is what we do. The only way to ensure that the water flows through its course is by demolishing all structures within the course of the river and in the buffer zone, and then maybe dredge more. And that's the responsibility of the district assembly. Water finds its own level. So when water is flowing and it hits a barrier, obviously it will divert its course. And that is why we have a lot of havoc. So if the district assembly is able to demolish all the structures in the course of the river and to dredge the river the way they should, and to make sure that the estuary is always open for water to flow into the sea, we wouldn't see much disaster. But that is not to say that those living in that area are safe. They are not. Anything at all can happen anytime. We don't know what tomorrow holds for us. We don't know what the day after holds for us. So we can't vouch for or guarantee their safety by where they live. Anything at all could happen. But for now, we have enough storage in the reservoir. So we'll maintain that till it's necessary for the dam to be expanded. And as to whether it's necessary or not, because we abstract over 60 million gallons of water daily from the dam throughout the year, and we still have enough water. So even if we expand the treatment plant, okay, we'll look at the volumes that we have to abstract. Can we abstract that volume of water throughout the year and still have the river maintained? If it is so, that we don't need to expand. Maybe we need to dredge, but not to expand. So when it's necessary for us to do so, the experts will advise, should we dredge or should we expand? And when we expand, what are the repercussions? When we dredge, what are the repercussions? Okay, so we'll find the experts will advise us on the best way forward. But I think dredging is best, and we do that occasionally. The area where we have the landfill site is beyond the dam, so it doesn't affect us at all. What actually affects us is the way the river is being, the Densu River is being handled at Nsawam, because there's a lot of pollution along the route. But beyond the dam, if there's any pollution, it doesn't affect us. We spend more in the treatment process. Okay, so it makes water from Weija quite expensive because of the pollution, compared to the Volta River, where there's very limited or very little pollution. Okay, so you realize that it's cheaper to treat water the Volta River, and we have about 3 treatment plants, about 3 treatment plants on the Volta River, and we don't spend much in its treatment compared to polluted rivers like the Densu River and then the Pra, and Odaso, Bonsa, and Konongo, Inu. I mean, there's almost every river body in Ghana is polluted one way or the other, but the Volta River is not seriously polluted. Currently, because of aquaculture ongoing along the Volta River, it's kind of making it a bit polluted. And so we are seeing something like that, but at least it's better compared to where people are doing alluvial mining or winning sand and all that. Those ones are seriously polluted, and it affects the cost of production. Even if we create another dam beyond this dam, okay, they'll get to a point where that dam will also be full. We have to spill. Okay, the dam is able to store enough water for us to treat throughout the year. So beyond the dam, we don't have any use for the water. If any other institution has use for it, then that's fine. But for Ghana Water Company Limited, we are okay with the dam. In April, when the president announced, and the president said that water will be free April, May, and June. And we have done 2 months already. We are in June. That's the last month. And so everything has been smooth. We had a bit of teething challenges, especially where people were still selling the water and all that. But we managed to sensitize them, and now we have a lot more people giving out the water for free and not selling. And we also put structures in place so that everything will go on very, very well. So it's been good so far. and areas where we realized that okay, so after the announcement, the demand went high because obviously because of the COVID, a lot more people were using water than hitherto they were, and then the free water too, people were using more water, so demand shot up. Okay, and so a lot of areas that were even getting regular flow were not getting water regular flow. So what we did was to procure close to 700 water tanks. We mounted in some of the communities, and then we hired water tankers to fill in the water tanks so that consumers within the communities will go there to fetch. Now there were other customers who also refused to give out the water for free. So we wanted polytanks in the community so that people could go there for free. So far it's been very good. We haven't had any challenges, and we will be compensating all those who were on 612 category, who were supposed to be selling the water or who sell the water for a living, and they were asked to give out the water for free. So yes, government is paying the GWCL so that we can also give them their compensation. So far everything has been good, no problems. You know, if you are a landlord and you sell your water to only your tenants, that you are supposed to give water to them for free because the water is free. Okay, but if you're a landlord who sells water to community members, then we expected them to register so that they could be compensated. The idea behind the compensation is that people have invested into, let's say, poly tanks or water tanks, okay, and the connection into their homes, and then they sell the water slightly above the tariff so that they could earn something as a living. So it was like a business for them. So then the little money that you earn, okay, we were saying that give out the water for free and they will compensate you by giving you the little that you earn. You understand? So that was the idea behind the registration process. Our system is such that our customers are categorized. So those who sell the water, as in the state in which Ghana Water produces it, are are on a certain category, and so we needed to change them from that category into another category, so that based on that we can give them the compensation, and that was why we asked them to re-register, because there are other people who also were on the 612 commercial category, but then they use the water for other purposes. For instance, some use them for sachet packaging, sachet water. Some use them for like hairdressing salons. They use them for other products as input for other products to earn or to make some profit. Those people are not included. But those who sell directly to consumers, domestic consumers, for them to go and use domestically, are the ones that we want them to give out the water for free, because the objective of the president was to give out the water to the citizens to use on themselves to keep clean and to keep healthy. You understand? So for domestic use and not for commercial purposes, and that is why we are compensating those vendors. Several of them, some came for it, some didn't, but most people came for it, and we are making every arrangement to have their compensation paid. So now we have reports from April. We realize that even the May report is indicating a higher consumption than in April, and so if it so happens also in June, they will be able to give an accurate figure. But then demand has really shot up. I mean, it's obvious from what we see, but as to the percentages, we would want to do that, put everything together and do that after June. Hotels have their private business, okay, and so they use our water, okay. If you go to sleep in a hotel now, you will pay. They won't say because of COVID it's being reduced for you, okay. There are others who are using the water for industrial purposes. All of them will pay. I said initially, if you are using the water as an input to another product so that you could make profit, then you're not part of it. But if it's for domestic use, that's where you're supposed to use it for free. So if a hotel owner goes home to his home, if the hotel owner doesn't live in his hotel but lives in his private home, the water in his private home is free, but then the water in his hotel cannot be for free. And we expect that they'll settle their bills. We are billing them, we expect that they'll settle their bills. Government can give that one also for free, because I don't think they've even reduced their hotel rates. The tankers were not hired to serve private homes. The tankers were hired to serve the poly tanks and the water tanks that we mounted in the communities, so that people can go there to fetch. So our tankers haven't stopped. The tankers that we rented haven't stopped working. They are still functioning because our water tanks are still there and people still go there on a daily basis to fetch. If they are without water, then they are without water. We have development plans. Okay, so we don't just expand water anyhow. We expand water based on our development plans. Even in Ghana, before you put up any building, before you're given a building permit, okay, the municipal assembly or the development planners are supposed to tell you the plans for that area, and they have to make sure that there's water, all the utilities are in that area before you go to put up a structure. Now people go put up structures anywhere at all, and then they start requesting for water. It doesn't work like that. There's a procedure. So if you do that, the Ghana Water Company is not under any obligation to make sure that you have water. You understand? Business-wise, we'll do what we can to make sure you have water, but that depends on the availability of water, and that depends also on the hydraulics in our pipelines. For instance, beyond a certain level or beyond a certain length or distance, water through the taps won't flow. So, for instance, if we are alone living, let's say, like some 2-3 kilometers away from, let's say, a main distribution line, okay, we can't lay like a huge pipeline to come and serve you alone. It doesn't make economic sense. So only if it has to be done, it has to be done with a small pipe, and beyond a certain distance, the hydraulics won't flow. Okay, so some of these things don't just happen. You understand? But there are scientific methods and scientific processes to which all these things works. So the hydraulics in the system may not even permit us to get water to a certain level, and that is why there's the need for you to go to town and country planning or the municipal assembly or the district assembly to acquire a building permit. When you go there, they will tell you the development plans for the area that you are going to develop. And if it's okay for you to go there, they'll let you go. They'll give you grant you the permit to go and put up your structure. If it is not, they'll tell you no, hold on. Okay, that is how come a lot of people feel they are being delayed. No. But then they need to know the development plans for the area before they can grant permit for you to go and put up your structure. Throughout the country, there are several areas, especially along the peripheries of the cities, that people just go to build and then they want water. No, it doesn't work like that. Now, the Sustainable Development Goals target is 100% access by 2030. So at least we are working towards a more ambitious target, and we hope that we'll be able to attain both targets by the timelines given. We only need investments. So if we get the right investments, it's possible. It's very, very feasible. Because all the development plans are there. It can only be driven by funds. So if there's funding, why not? Illegal connections are wrong. And we don't expect that citizens of Ghana will involve themselves in illegal connections. But still people do it. So the Ghana Water Company Limited has invested into technology. And now we are using geographical information systems. We have set up a geographical information systems department where we are able to pick the locations of every property on land, and then we process it into a digital map. Okay, so that and then we have every information on the properties on land on the digital map. So on the click of a button on the map, we are able to tell the details of that property, whether they have water connections, whether they are within our system, whether they have registered with us or not. So when we are done with that, we will be able to identify every property that may have had water or that has water but is not registered with the Ghana Water Company Limited. Okay, so we are arresting some people and we are regularizing them. Some are being prosecuted and all that. Okay, so there's something ongoing when it comes to illegal connections. And so anybody listening or watching this program should know that the Ghana Water Company Limited is working assiduously at reducing illegal connections in the system. And if you're not careful, you'll be prosecuted. So the best would be to go to the Ghana Water Company Limited district office closest to you, and then have your connections, your legal connection that you've done regularized. If you do not do that, and we come to you, then we'll have to be prosecuted. The other aspect also is that we now have a task force that goes around the communities every day, trying to identify some of these illegal connections. Now, when the task force is to identify you and to pick you up, you'll be prosecuted. So there's a lot of things going on when it comes to illegal connections. It's not the best. It's affecting the operations of the Ghana Water Company Limited, and we expect that Ghanaians will be patriotic enough and desist from illegal activities. There are several prosecutions ongoing throughout the country, and not in Accra alone. It's throughout the country, and there are several people. Even in Western region alone, um, as at this week, they had sent over 100 people to court. We have um, we have regional lawyers within the regions, and they are handling those ones. Okay, so there are some people who cooperate with the Ghana Water Company Limited, and then they are fined based on an estimation of the consumption over the period. And if they are prepared to pay, you pay, and then your the connection is regularized. But the recalcitrant ones are prosecuted, and people who refuse to pay are handed over for prosecution, and we have lawyers who handle that. So if Western Region alone, within a short time, has over 100 people, how about those who have cooperated and we have worked? So there are several people, and this is happening by the day. On daily basis, we are arresting people.